Should Maresca continue to persist with Nani Madueke on the right wing? Because to give a little bit of leniency to him, I understand he's not playing with a gusto, and maybe that's affecting how he's playing. But this game, the last game, to a certain extent, Servette, you can say he didn't try, but to a certain extent, Servette, that's 3 games where he's just not looked up to scuff. Like, it's just not been really good, and I don't know. There's a Pedro Neto waiting. I know Maresca said he sees Palmer as a 10, but I think I want to see Palmer, like what Surfer has alluded to multiple times. I want to see Palmer on that right, giving the liberty to invert, or not invert, but drift into the middle. Chris, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to RSM's opinion on this one too.
I disagree on that one.
Yeah. With
we'll discuss it.
I mean, with Cole Palmer, I prefer him on the right. I think most do prefer him on the right because he likes to drift in and cut in. But like, it's depending on where you want to look at. Because I would actually like to see Nkuku get more minutes in the league because most times he comes on, he does look dangerous and he looks like he's going to do something. So I want to see Nkuku play in the 10 and Cole Palmer on the right. And yeah, you say about Nani Madueke, I don't expect Nani Madueke to start every game unless he does. I don't know, but like I really don't. I think we'll go like change it between Pedro Neto, because I actually want to see Pedro Neto on the right as well, because like he mentioned before, Pedro Neto is my right winger with Nani Madueke. He didn't mention Cole Palmer, in all fairness, but yeah, we haven't seen Pedro Neto play once on the right, and Pedro Neto likes to cut in as well, to use his left foot as well. He can use his right foot in all fairness to Pedro Neto, but like, yeah, I think the last few games, like I thought the Crystal Palace game, he was frustrating. He wasn't that bad in that game, but like he should have definitely scored in that game. The last 2 games, we haven't had an actual fullback, and he's looked pretty much more invisible today. I don't think he's bad today.
I'll say this about the question you asked though, Marshall, is I think something that I think we were all asking for Madueke to come off this game. I think everybody was saying like, hey, Nani needs to come off. He's not having a good game, but I think it was a bit intelligent what Maresca did, in the sense that I think he gave Nani, the opportunity to show that he might be able to do something, and he can, like, next week, he can go to Nani and say, listen, I give you a full 90. I didn't take you off. I gave you the ability to show me that you're able to be a starter. But as of now, based on the performances after the hat trick, you haven't been up to snuff. So you're gonna be a super sub now. And it's hard for Nani to complain about being a super sub if fucking Nkuku's okay with it. You get what I'm saying? Like, what legs do you find yourself standing on if Nkuku's on the bench?
Do you guys feel that, and RSM, going off of what you're saying, right, with the whole bench thing, do you guys feel that, much like Jackson, because I feel like Jackson is a similar type of player, do you feel like Nani plays best when he has a chip on his shoulder?
No, that's not the issue with Madueke today. And you guys know me, Madueke is the biggest fan, essentially, probably on this panel.
Biggest glazer.
Marshall, I don't want to start with you, mate. You know what I mean? Don't get started. You know what I mean? And if I'm being,
you don't want to start with me, bro. We started like an hour, 20 minutes ago. We've been started.
Let's let you know. No, that's cool. That's called Cold War. I'm just doing a Cold War with you, there. You know what I mean? Don't make me go to World War III with you. That's what I'm saying. But you know what I mean. So
nuclear deterrence over here.
Yes, exactly. Now, I think with Madueke again, I just think there's 2 issues with him. I think today he's actually really good defensively. He helped up Fofana quite well.
Off the ball, he was good.
Yes, right. I think the problem was that I think it clearly seems like Madueke, right, when he gets the ball, he needs someone that's gonna at least overlap him to create space. I think with Sancho, right, the thing that was allowing him to have space was because of the fact that once Kukurea invests into midfield, they're targeting Kukurea, ball goes over to Sancho, and then essentially he's got a 1v1 opportunity against Wan-Bissaka, essentially, right? So I think from that aspect, yes. And then I think obviously whenever he got on the ball, he created like that chance which he should have basically passed rather than trying to shoot for himself. So I think that's what the real issue is with Madueke. I think once Gusto actually comes back, right, I think for me he's going to be actually pretty good. And I think for me, maybe people might say get Neto to start. But listen, the reality is, boys, you got such good quality of wingers that if you think Madueke bench Madueke, bring Neto on, and it can still provide the same material benefits for you.
Material benefits, okay. I disagree with all of what Marshall said and the first part, or I guess maybe 89% of what Ahmed said. In terms of people People trying to do this weird gimmick of Palmer right wing. Listen, Chelsea fans, that has to die. In this Maresca system, Palmer cannot be playing right wing. Cannot. What Maresca wants from his wingers, especially that right winger, like Palmer shouldn't be doing that. Palmer shouldn't be restricted to a touchline winger just because you want your little boy in poo-poo to play in the 10. I'm sorry. No, we're not going to do that. Gusto's not going to be overlapping because Gusto's job is going to be in the midfield. We're not doing that in this Maresca system. We just need to be honest about what the system is. Okay, that's why I keep advocating for Neto to play on the right, because Neto's a better winger than Madueke. If Neto's able to link up with Palmer on that right hand side, that will be a lot better than what Madueke is currently giving us.
You know what it is, man. Keep hitting Madueke. You'll keep shining.
I'm not even hitting Madueke.
It's not that. But let me ask you something though, Prime. I mean, it's not necessarily that. Like, if we look at Bournemouth and we look at Sancho and Cucurella, there was link-up plays where Cucurella was underlapping, he was overlapping. It could happen on that left side, and Cucurella's role is similar to the right backs in that scenario too, where they both invert, right, depending on what side of the pitch they're on, to an extent too. It changes from game to game. So for me, it's. And this is one thing that Maresca said that I like it, but at the same time, I'm worried about it. He said, and someone said this earlier in a stream, he said that if they don't believe in my system or my style of play or whatever, then they won't play. Which, to an extent, I'm like, okay, that's cool and all. You're putting down your fist and whatever. You are the captain. You call the shots. But at the same time, if a player like Cole Palmer, who I'm not saying he's bad, I think he's a magnificent player, and even today, like when he's not the main focus, he's not the guy carrying the team, he still impacts the game, gets a goal. Good. But I feel like to get the best out of Cole, you need to put him on that right and allow him to drift into the middle. And going back to the quote that I was saying of Maresca, to an extent that it worries me is that if we continue on seeing Cole Palmer not be as impactful as he was last season, almost to an extent like not perform as well, is Maresca the type of manager that's willing to suppress a player's abilities by being so strict on his method of playing and not allowing Cole Palmer to play on the right and come into the middle and only keeping him as a touchline winger? Is that okay? Like, are we willing to do that? Like, is that really a good thing? Because I do still believe that I feel like Maresca should allow Cole Palmer to play on the right and come into the middle.
No, because if Palmer plays on the right, we still need someone on that right-hand side to give us actual width. And if he comes inside...
Not Cucurella, I'm sorry. Gusto can do that. Just like Cucurella did it for Sancho and the other game.
Cucurella did it for Sancho against Bournemouth. That was like a one-off. Part of why he did that is because Sancho needed someone to link with. On our right side, you have the right winger, whether it's Madueke or Sancho or Neto, whoever. And then you have Palmer on that like right 8, right 10 side. Like, that's how it should be. Palmer playing, you're restricting Palmer's ability by just having him be on that right flank and hug the touchline. It's not under Poch where Palmer might start on the right, but he's allowed to come, drift inside and move about, and then you have Gusto or Reece James who overlap him. That's why in the second half of last season, Palmer played in the 10, Madueke played right wing, and we had a lot more balance because you had two wingers and then you had Palmer in the center who was allowed to play and drift and like not really be picked up a lot. I don't get why people want to shunt Palmer on the right flank just come in Nkunku can be in the team. Like, no, I don't think that makes us better balance-wise. And Maresca clearly sees that. Maresca is a smart individual. He clearly sees that as well.
Yeah.
Like,
but don't you think, like, and listen, I know where you're coming from. And I know people like Diego Ortiz, like, listen, I'm saying Palmer on the right at Man City didn't work. Why? Because Palmer, listened to the instructions of the manager, was a touchline winger. He stuck to the right. He didn't try to come inside or anything like that. However, when he's playing in the middle as a 10, you take away that ability that he has to cut inside. And that was a big aspect of his game last
I
season.
don't think so.
I think so. But I mean, listen, I'm not saying he's a bad 10. I'm kind of putting another perspective out there.
I know, I get the perspective, but I don't think it works effectively. It doesn't. So you want Palmer? So what our front five will be? What Palmer, Nkuku, Enzo, Sancho, and Jackson, and then Palmer comes, he drifts inside, and then we have no one on that right flank. Or so Gusto bombs forward, and then we're missing someone in midfield. It doesn't work.
I gotta say, I agree with Prime. Like,
People need to remember, we're not playing a traditional 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3. We're playing with a back three. We're we're playing with a we're playing a 3-2-4-1 essentially, and our two wingers need to be traditional wingers. Even Sancho's not a traditional winger per se, but at least he actually works on that side. So you need someone on the other side that is an actual winger that will have the legs to stretch the pitch, particularly when Jackson, you see the way Jackson plays, he loves to drift to the left side. We saw that today for the first goal. So if Jackson's going to drift to the left, you need someone on the right wing that actually has legs. And Palmer, I love Palmer, but he's not, in this system, he's not a right winger.
Can be. I think it depends. Like I can 100% see Palmer working on the right but not currently, because we needed Augusto or James in the team. Like, we've already tried it in preseason and at points this season so far where we've
saw
seen
it against City. Palmer was playing on the right and Kuku on the left,
and we saw it against Inter where Palmer started on the right, but we had him coming inside, and I think it was James. Was it James or was it Gusto? I can't remember who the right one was in that game, but they were the one providing width in that game.
In what game?
That's the Inter game in preseason. And that's the thing. Yeah. And that's the thing for me, is like, it can work. It just requires certain pieces in this team which we don't have right now. Like right now without a right back, it doesn't work because you can't have him.
I get it.
But I think it works because, to me, the whole thing with the Palmer situation, all that, it all depends on the midfield. Like, the reason why you can have Palmer be a winger, quote unquote, that comes inside and have Reece or whoever overlapping is because then it's just the pivot stays the same. You don't have one of the midfielders step out into the front five. So that's all it would be. And for me, if we're playing Enzo and Caicedo, that's even actually, if we're playing Enzo and Caicedo, if we're playing Enzo and Lavia, if we're playing Caicedo and Lavia, that suits all three of them. That suits that pair. Like, none of them particularly want to step out into the front line of those three, I don't think. And they're much better when they're deep, when they can do different things, whether it's control the game or break up play or whatever it is. And so I think that can work. It just depends. Like, it's all about timing at the moment. Like, so much of our play at the moment is a bit limited in some ways because of the right back situation. So it means an actual right winger has to play because we don't have a right back at all outside of Achimpong. But
I disagree, because even if Reece is fit, he's playing in our back three. And Cucurella's one.
And we've already seen that Maresca'S willing to try different things, willing to experiment.
Yeah, but we've seen Reece playing in midfield under Maresca, and it hasn't looked that good.
Yeah, but I'm not saying it's a play in midfield. I'm saying he is effectively the right winger in the system.
No, I wouldn't do that. I need proper width. I'm not doing that to the own guy.
One of the things we need to talk about as well when we're talking about this is the treatment that we've seen. Basically, every team that hasn't been City is giving Palmer, where they're giving the hazard treatment. Like, we're not even going to try to go for the ball. We're going to hack his legs out. Like, how do you think
that did happen today a lot?
But that's happening with all of our wingers. Like,
not as much as Palmer does. Bro, Palmer's getting.
Palmer gets it more, but Palmer definitely gets it more.
Go for his legs, like.
On 100%, Palmer gets it more, but like, all of our wingers outside of Mudryk are getting this, which is like they're getting doubled up on, and this is good. And to me, this is like a positive because it means there's space for someone else. So like, it doesn't.
which is why we should. Marshall, you were talking about if he's in the center, it's going to take away from his
the cut inside is going to be missing from his gameplay. Yeah,
I think. Yeah, but like Palmer is not a one-trick pony. He's more than just cutting inside.
No, he's not.
There's so much to his game. Too. I don't want our whole game to just flow through Palmer consistently because that makes us too predictable.
But I'm just saying, like,
I think that's been one of the positives this season so far. Is like, I think this season Palmer has been, I would say, not anywhere near the same level that he was last season, but he's on 2 goals and 4 assists.
Can I finish speaking?
Go ahead, Prime. Go ahead.
I don't want everything to just flow through Palmer because it makes us too predictable. That's why teams are like trying to man marking so much. If they're going to do that and it gives everyone else space, then it should make it easier for the likes of Sancho or Neto or whoever else who plays to get more freedom to perform. That's why I've been so frustrated with Madueke. If Palmer's being locked up, you should get a bit more space, and you're not being effective with that. That's why I don't want Palmer just on the right flank. Let Palmer be in the center, let him attract as many men as he possibly can, pause, and then the rest of them have space.
Sorry, can I?
TV.
Okay. Here's the thing. I'm supporting Prime's argument. I'm gonna go through the reasons why. Okay. So we clearly know the best in person for fallback to invert is Cucurella, right? I don't care if it's Gusto or Reece James, it's Cucurella. No matter what, he performs for Spain, he performs for us. You're not changing that. You can see how well he performs helping with the 3 midfield, even today, especially. That's why Enzo looked better. That's what happened with the last 5 games of the season too. Second of all, I do not want Reece James in the right wing. Excuse me, he has to bomb back and he's injury prone as hell. And if you're telling me Gusto, Gusto's not better than Cucurella's inverting. And if I want someone crossing, I'd rather have a Neto on the right wing who's actually better at crossing than Gusto is. I'm not saying Gusto is bad. I'm saying Neto is just better because man literally got 11 assists last season through crossing from the left side, and he's basically both-footed, and he can offer. So he's a threat because with his right foot he can cross to, and his left, and with his left foot he's deadly at striking. Right, I get that pace, anyways, that Gusto would provide as a overlapping option. Why wouldn't I do that? Now Gusto's like in a way a third center back in a way, but he's mostly just going to be like a pacey right center back that's just going to cover whoever the winger is for counterattacks. If there's going to be any counterattacks against us, he'll just cover that side in a way, right? So that's what I'm saying, because we have a guy in Neto who's better at crossing than Gusto. We have people who are better at inverting than Gusto and James. And I'm not trusting Reece James in a system where he has to be in a higher position. The whole thing was...
If we can't trust Reece James to do that, then he needs to be sold.
No,
straight up, he needs to be sold.
He doesn't need to be sold because, he doesn't, because we have winger options that are good at being wingers and crossing the ball in Neto. That's the whole point. He can be a right pacey center back in a back three.
I'm not being funny. Part of what makes Reece is his ability to get forward and what he can do in attacking areas. If he's there to be a glorified centre back, the fuck have I got him for?
Because Reece is better than
that was my complaint with him.
And again, I'll go back to it. If he's not fit enough, this whole hamstring issue was meant to be solved. If he's not fit enough to be able to
be a right winger, he's not fit enough.
To get up and down like a normal fullback. To get up and down like a normal fullback.
Yeah, and you know who also runs up and down like a normal fullback? Fucking Trent. And he's exceptional at crossing, but he's ass at defending.
Guys, can I just say, the way we play, fuck your opinions of normal fullbacks, Scott. I'm sorry. But like, we're not playing with, the way we play is not with normal fullbacks. We're playing with a fullback in midfield. Nothing about that is normal.
But the thing is, though,
you're telling me the way Madueke is currently playing, Reece can't do that.
No, I'm saying Neto can do it. That's the whole point. I'm saying Neto's going to cross and provide.
Let me finish. The way Madueke is playing, Reece cannot do that because Reece isn't a winger. Reece should be part of the back three because like he's one of the best defensive players in the world. His defensive ability, his 1v1 ability is one of the best in the world. So we should utilize that. I don't need Reece that far forward because we have all these attacking options.
I mean, I get what you're saying though, Prime. this is the thing. This is the thing, though. I get what you're saying, though, Prime, but I feel like maybe we're suffering a little bit from recency bias because we need to remember, and Chris, I'm backing you here, right? We need to remember, like, on his day, the only one that can match Reece James tit for tat when it comes to crossing ability is a Trent Alexander-Arnold. He has that in his locker room, and he can do that. Like that's his bread and butter. His bread and butter is that ability to bomb forward and bring those crosses to the game.
On his day, no one can match him defensively 1v1.
100%.
And Marshall,
let me utilize. Listen, it's either utilize his attacking ability or his defensive ability. And Reece is a fullback, so you know what he should do? He should fall back into the defense.
And you know what he could be? You know what he could be? Because we have someone who's not someone from our side. Ramos. He was a right back who was 6 foot tall like Reece James and became a pretty good center back. Yeah. That's what I'm saying we can make him be. We can lose the offensive, but he could be a damn good center back for us and be there for a long time. Who has the recovery pace, who can thread a ball through, kind of like a Colwell, and have more attacking options who can ping the ball on the right side for us, like Colwell does on the left. He offers us a better protection of counterattacks. He's going to be physical, so even if there's a pacey striker or something.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, let's not forget as well, Reece James can play from the back and ping it from, like, his own half and, like, to the other side of the pitch. Like, of course he's great at crossing. I agree, like, he's one of the best crossers, but he can still play from the back and, like, through ball. I remember, like, last season, right? To Sterling, where he pinged it from his own half, Trevellered it basically outside his foot, and they went to Sterling, but Sterling handballed it. He can play from the back, so I don't mind it. Like Prime said, defensively he is very solid, and he's like one of the best at 1v1s. And
no, it's not very solid. He's I was just saying, like, Reece is a all-round like world-class player, but he's a fullback. We're not in 2021 or 2022. Where we have Havertz, Mount, Werner, and Lukaku. So we have to use Reece's attacking ability. We don't have to use it right now. So let's use him in his actual best position.
Mm-hmm. And you know who also did that for us in Chelsea, who was a fullback and became one of great one-on-one center backs? Azpilicueta. I know he's not as close to Reece James as crossing-wise, but he was a good right back and left back. And then he became a great one-on-one defender for us in his later years.
Yeah, Aspie, even with Conte or something, like, even as right centre back, he'd still play for
the team. That's what he was. He was a centre back for us with Conte and the Champions League final, the final run too. He was a centre back.
But can I point out something too? Because this initially started from the whole Cole Palmer question, right? Like, I know we saw him play at right wing at Man City, but if you rewatch that game, he wasn't actually bad. If we were more clinical, Cole Palmer actually had he created some pretty big chances. And if we were more clinical, he would have had an assist or two in that game from right wing. So, like, I know we're saying, like, yes, Maresca'S saying he's a 10 and a cam, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be some cameos where he's going to play at right wing this season.
Oh, that's fine. That's part of rotation.
We've already seen it. He did that against Bournemouth.
Marshall, you said some cameos. So, if we may need
but like
it,
start, not just like.
I know, but some games, right? Not majority.
If we may need it, not in our best team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so, I mean, and also this Reece bombing forward thing. Listen, if Reece is going to be a bombing fullback again, this guy's going to break. Like, utilize him where he can be best, and we can get longevity from them. Him on the right of that back three. There's no one better in the world, genuinely. There's no center back better in the world in that position.
I can't trust him to bomb forward once or twice. Jesus fucking Christ.
We don't need him to bomb forward.
And that's a whole different discussion.
Even at Wigan, James played centre back, by the way, a lot as well.
But Scott, in this system, even whether it's Reece playing there or it's Gusto playing there or it's Fofana or the Sassy, you don't need to bomb forward. You shouldn't be bombing forward.
I just think, and I get where Scott's coming from, because this is essentially what we're discussing right now. Is essentially what made Reece James. That's like his bread and butter. His ability to overlap, run forward, the crosses from the right wing position or the right side of the pitch. And listen, we're gonna see how.
Marshall, I gotta head out. Thanks for having me on, bro. Appreciate it.
Of course. There we
Marshall,
go.
I
Everyone
just
check
agree.
out RSM in the description.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys.
I think Reece James's bread and butter is his defensive ability. I think that the icing on the cake, which makes him, like, whether people think he's generational or whatever, is his attacking prowess for a defensive player.
Mm-hmm.
That's why with Trent, right? CP mentioned Trent, how great Trent is going forward, but Trent is a fullback. That's why we laugh at Trent. That's why I laugh at Trent, because you're a fullback and you cannot defend. I don't care how good you are going forward if you can't defend. Reece can actually defend. Let me use him in his actual position as a defender.
Mm-hmm. No, and I get that. But I think this is a really interesting conversation. It's an interesting tool for Maresca to have at his disposal, and it's going to be interesting to see how he goes about it. Because let's also be honest, like, this isn't the best. Like, this team is still adapting to the system, is still improving. Like, this isn't the best Chelsea we're going to see under Maresca yet. Like, the best is yet to come, in my opinion.